These are the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM.
If you're thinking about giving up smoking, well, now is the time to do it, with lots of support around, because it's Stoptober, the month to give up smoking. And in the studio, it's nice to welcome back Telha Rashid, better known by lots of people out there as Mr. T, and he's from Central Lancashire NHS QuitSquad. Very nice to meet you again this afternoon.
Nice to meet you as well, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come.
And lots of people, I understand, signing up to get that support to stop smoking.
That is correct. There's a lot of people who are ringing up, and there's a lot of people that are coming through the door and showing a lot of motivation to give up smoking. And for the last 2 to 3 years, what we've all found at the Stop Smoking service is the Stoptober is much more busier than New Year's resolutions.
Right.
Yeah.
And I understand that anybody who gives up, say, for 28 days, that you're 5 times then more likely to quit.
That is correct. That's always been in research, that if you can give up for a month or 2 months, because usually a month or 2 months is a good time for people to change a new habit. So with that in mind, by giving up smoking for 28 days, you do increase your chances by giving up smoking by 4 to 5 times. And a lot of people are doing it, and a lot of friends are doing it together, so that makes it so much easier.
And what are for someone at the moment still smoking, but, they really want to give up, how do you plan? Is it best to plan giving up, or you just quit? What's the best way to go ahead with, maybe the plans to stop smoking?
From experience, I find people come into 2 categories here. You get one group of individuals that by setting a quit day, it encourages them to give up smoking. It encourages them to make all the necessary arrangements, such as using stop smoking medication, etc. And they've got a date to work towards, and it makes it easy for them to quit. And then you get the other group of individuals, from experience, which I find that if they set a quit date, they panic. And so with them, what we tend to do is, when they come into the clinic, we give them the stop smoking medication, and we say to them, look, have a think about it, do some behavior changes, cut down on your smoking. We go through in depth, ways to get ready for giving up smoking, but we leave it in your hands to set a quit day. That takes a lot of pressure off them, and they find giving up smoking much more easier that way.
Right. And is it good for people to tell the friends and family beforehand that they're thinking about stopping smoking, so that they can get that level of support there?
From experience, majority of the time, people find not telling everybody is usually the best, because when everyone's asking all the time how you're getting on and so on, they feel under pressure.
Right.
However, if family members are giving up smoking together, then obviously making each other aware of it and trying to do it together is a very good idea, and it works much more better that way.
And it really is a win-win situation, isn't it? Because if you give up smoking, you lose that smell on your clothes. You're not searching for that cigarette first thing in the morning, or searching for that cigarette with that cup of coffee. And of course, the money, and again, other things mean that you're going to have whiter teeth, usually because of the lack of nicotine. What is it? What are the things within the cigarettes that really is that craving drug? Is it other things apart from nicotine, or is nicotine the main agent in there?
Nicotine is the main agent that encourages a person to keep going back to smoking, because when a person consumes nicotine through a cigarette, that touches the receptors in the brain, which relieves the craving and also maintains the addiction. So after a certain period of time, when the level of nicotine reduces in the blood, so for example, a perfect example would be when you eat. The solids and fluids going into your body, what that does is reduces the volume of nicotine in your blood. And after meals, that's a time when smokers usually enjoy having a cigarette then, because when they smoke after a meal, they're relieving a craving. And when they're relieving a craving, that's when you enjoy your cigarettes. Because nicotine, it stimulates dopamine, which is a brain chemical that gives you a reward factor, happiness factor for a very short period of time. But what I would like to mention is that just like smoking stimulates dopamine and makes you feel good for a very short time, it also stimulates adrenaline, which gets you more stressed.
Right.
And that adrenaline effect stays in your body for longer. And when you're stressed for a long time, what you got to do if you're a smoker? You got to pick up another cigarette. You got to feel good for a short time, but then you got to feel stressed for a long time. And hence, research shows that those people who smoke are more likely to be affected by stress more.
And how do you support and help people then to cope with that? As you say, usually when you've had that cup of coffee or you've had that meal, the first thing people often do is reach for that cigarette. What are then the ways of dealing?
One of the best methods for dealing with those times, like you mentioned earlier, when you wake up in the morning and you want your cigarette with a cup of coffee, or after meals, or every 4 or 5 hours when you have a craving. It depends on every person's different. That's when we recommend products, nicotine products that you have control over, which you can use to relieve your cravings instantly. So a nicotine from a cigarette relieves your cravings in 7 seconds. So we offer products that relieve your cravings from 50 to 60 seconds, such as the nicotine gum, the nicotine strip, the nicotine mouth spray, the nicotine lozenge, or the inhalator. So these are products, or a nasal spray. The nasal spray is it's not used that often because we don't get people who like to squirt a spray in their nose. However, very heavy smokers and those individuals who have a very high nicotine addiction, they find a nicotine nasal spray very helpful in relieving their cravings. It's probably one of the most effective products we have. But there is a product that most people use and is becoming very popular, and that is the mouth spray. So that relieves cravings in about 50 seconds. And there's 2 ways of using it. You can either spray it directly onto your tongue, which some people find a bit uncomfortable, but most people tend to spray it at the back of their hands and touch that part of the hand where they've sprayed it, and then put it onto their tongue, and that relieves cravings fast.
Right. And when you use something like that, I mean, do you get to a point shortly afterwards where you don't want to continue to use it, or do you also need help coming off it?
The cravings are the most frequent, strong, regular in the first few days or the first few weeks of giving up smoking, and that's when people will use these products more. We do advise that people only use these products when they have cravings, and not to use them when they're bored or stressed. So that way, in the long term, or short to long term, they don't develop an addiction to these products. And hence, this is why we're here, to guide people on how to use these products at every stage. But these products are used for 12 weeks, because once you stop smoking, after 12 weeks, all the nicotine receptors switch off. And this has been proven through research. And when the nicotine receptors switch off, you do not get any cravings after that. You do get thoughts of having a cigarette. So let's say after 14 weeks of giving up smoking, your nicotine receptors are switched off, you're not getting any cravings, but you got really stressed, so you want to have a cigarette. That's purely psychological. Now, when something is psychological, you manage it psychologically. And that's when we recommend positive stress management. So, for example, one of the key things that we advise, everybody's different. Certain things work for some people, certain things don't. But one of the things that works wonders with majority of people is something that doesn't cost any money, and that is a simple, slow and deep breathing relaxation exercise. It can be done sitting down, it can be done lying down, and just by doing some slow and deep breathing, that has been proven to relieve your cravings as well, because cravings last for 4 minutes. The actual urge to smoke, when it does come, lasts for 4 minutes. And University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, I remember looking at research there, where they found that by doing slow and deep breathing, the craving will go away faster if you do some slow and deep breathing. And one of the things you mentioned earlier, which is weaning off. Sometimes we advise people to use the products, and sometimes to do slow and deep breathing to relieve the craving. So that slowly a time comes when they stop using the products altogether.
In your experience, have you come across many people where hypnosis has been an answer to stopping smoking?
Looking at some research or information on it, the last time when I looked into it, They say that 70% of the population respond to hypnotherapy and that it helps them. Yes, I have come across people who have given up in the past and they've used hypnotherapy and it has worked for them. But after a month or two, whenever they faced a lot of stress, they've gone back to smoking. So hypnotherapy has done the initial thing for them where it's put them off and so on. But after a bit, once they become stressed, they've gone back to smoking. And that's why there's advantages and disadvantages of every method of giving up smoking. Sometimes acupuncture and hypnotherapy work with some, and sometimes it doesn't. But from the NHS, like Heather mentioned, who came last week with me, that we can only recommend methods of giving up smoking that are scientifically proven. And just like the e-cigs is not scientifically proven up till now, actually there was a little research done on it to see how effective it is, and it didn't pass the test in terms of helping people to give up smoking. So the e-cigs is in the early days. There's still research taking place, etc., in terms of safety and efficacy in terms of giving up smoking. So that's why up till now we'd only recommend nicotine replacement. And the beauty of coming to the Stop Smoking service is that we discuss ways to manage stress. We discuss ways or encourage people to address the boredom that's encouraging them to pick up the cigarette. And the fact that they come into the service, it just reaffirms or strengthens their determination to give up smoking, and hence that increases the chances of giving up smoking.
And we did touch on it last week that for a lot of people the fear is of putting weight on after stopping smoking, but that doesn't have to be the case, does it?
That's right. So yes, that's is 5 to 7 pounds is standard weight gain. From research is found that when people give up smoking, 5 to 7 pounds is standard weight gain expected. Having said that, I have come across people in experience who eat a variety of food, who enjoy their food, but they stick to their portions. And when they give up smoking, they don't put on any weight. But obviously there's certain factors that contribute towards weight gain. Your sense of taste and smells better. Your appetite's a bit better. And hence a lot of teenage girls take up smoking to reduce their appetite to stay slim.
Right, yes, of course.
So when the giving up smoking takes place, then the appetite starts coming back. And anything that improves your health will have usually an improvement towards appetite. So 5 to 7 pounds is standard weight gain. And just the thing to be aware of is that when people are giving up smoking, just like you don't want to overuse the nicotine products and get addicted to the nicotine products, similarly, I mean, if you've ate a bit extra here and there, that's no big deal. But the problem starts when people transfer their smoking addiction to food. So when they were bored, or I'll have a bit of biscuit, I'll have a bit of this, and then the calories, go up and so on. So that's just something to be careful of.
And when people come along to the QuitSquad, I mean, are people usually aware of those craving triggers? Are they quite surprised when they sit down and talk it through where those triggers are?
Most people are aware, and with some individuals you have to create discussion. And then when you get them to think about their lifestyle and their smoking and so on, then they become a bit more aware of the triggers. One of the things I like to do, and a lot of my colleagues like to do when we're in consultation with clients, is that we like to encourage people to differentiate between a craving and the psychological reminder to smoke, or the habit to smoke. And if you can do that, you can manage it better. So if it's a craving, you'd use a nicotine product, or alternatively you'd go down the medication route, whether it be Zyban or Champix, so that cravings and withdrawal symptoms are dealt with that way as well, so that you don't get cravings even after a meal. Having said that, by using patches, some people don't get cravings after meals. So by identifying a craving and a habit to smoke, that and encouraging them how to manage that can increase the chances of a person staying stopped.
And people who come along, particularly during this month, during Stoptober, the patches, etc., that we've talked about, are they on prescription, and do people have to pay for the prescription?
It's very simple. If you pay for your prescription, you pay a standard prescription price. So what we do is we give a voucher. When we give the voucher, they take it to the pharmacy and they pay a standard prescription price. That's if they pay. If their prescription is free, if they're on certain benefits, etc., or they're on low income, then their prescription is free. So the other benefit of coming to the Stop Smoking service is that you will save a lot of money. So, for example, a week's supply of, let's say, we normally recommend patches and mouth spray. That's a very popular combination, and that would normally cost you at least £30 a week. So if you can get it free, you can save a lot of money. Plus, you're saving money on giving up smoking. If a person's smoking 20 a day, you're saving at least over £2,000 in a year. Easy. The other thing that we encourage people to do is that when we give an appointment card on the first appointment, and at the back of that there's a contact number that you can ring and purchase a pre-prescription medical certificate. So no matter how many prescriptions you get, that can get covered, because normally we give you a prescription every week for the first 4 weeks, to see how you get on with the prescription. And if you don't get on with it, we can change it, because if we give a 4-week supply of prescription on the first week and someone has a reaction to the patches, for example, and they don't want to use it and they want to use an alternative product, then it goes to waste and we can't use it anyway, you see. So that's why. So prepayment medical certificate is a good idea. Certain people have certain health problems, like where they need to have regular medication every day, so they already have a prepayment medical certificate exemption.
So for people that who are listening now and not yet taken that step to stop smoking, where is the best place for them to have a look, and how to get in touch with yourselves?
So the website is www.nhsquitsquad.uk. So that's www.nhsquitsquad.uk. The telephone number, there's a free phone number and there's a landline number, so I'm going to read out both. 0800 328 6297. So the free phone number is 0800 328 6297. Alternatively, if you're ringing from mobile and you may be charged, then it's best to call the landline, which is 01772 64474. That's 01772 64474.
Okay, and you're going to be joining us again next Monday.
That's correct.
And
with pleasure.
Maybe one of the things that we can also focus on is about keeping positive, because I know one of the most difficult things is to remain positive, isn't it?
Absolutely. So yes, we can discuss that next Monday, yeah.
Okay. Well, can I thank you for coming into the studio again?
You're most welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Let's see how many of our listeners we can help to give up smoking in October. Lovely to meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
If you have any news or events you'd like to share with Huey and our Chat City team, why not give us an email, chatcity@preston.fm.